I'm going to start with another confession today. I used to feel slightly guilty about walking. Like, that's not really exercise, is it? Surely it's got to be harder than that. Shouldn't I be like red-faced and out of breath, a little bit sweaty, and kind of slightly regretting my life choices? And then I looked at the research, and it turns out walking is quietly one of the most powerful things you can do for your health. Not in a, well, it's better than nothing kind of way, but in a, this has been studied in hundreds of thousands of people and the results are remarkable kind of way. Welcome to the new 5 a day. My name is Nick Walters. Today we're on pillar 3, be active. And we're starting where most of us actually start most things, with our feet on the pavement, one step at a time. No gym required, no lycra, no guilt about feeling like a beginner. Just the case for why walking might be one of the best health decisions you can make, and how to actually build it into your day-to-day life. Right, first things first, let's talk about 10,000 steps, because you've all heard this number. It's on every fitness tracker, in every corporate wellness email, printed on the packaging of pedometers since roughly 1965. 10,000 steps a day, that's the target. Except it was invented by a Japanese marketing team in the 1960s to sell a pedometer. The character for 10,000 in Japanese looks a bit like a person walking. So they called it the Mampo-ke, the 10,000 step meter. There's no clinical trial, no science, just a snappy product name that somehow became a global health target. Now, walking 10,000 steps a day is genuinely good for you. I'm not here to tell you not to do it. But the good news is, especially if you find 10,000 steps completely impossible on most days, the good news is that the science has caught up with the marketing. The most comprehensive review ever done on this topic was published in the Lancet Public Health in 2025. Researchers looked at 57 studies, nearly 400,000 adults across more than 10 countries. And what they found is that aiming for 7,000 steps a day is associated with a 47% reduction in the risk of dying early. Not 10,000 steps, 7,000. And here's the really encouraging part. Even going from 2,000 steps to 4,000 made a measurable difference. Every additional step above your current baseline counts. The curve is steepest at the bottom, which means people have the most to gain are those who are currently doing the least. Harvard research supports this too. A study of 17,000 women found that mortality risk dropped steadily from 2,000 steps upwards and plateaus at about 7,500 steps. So, wherever you are starting from, that's the right place to start. So, what does walking actually do for you? Let me take you through 5 areas, because the list is longer and more positive than most people expect. First, your heart. Walking is one of the most heart-friendly forms of exercise there is. It raises your heart rate gently, strengthens the cardiac muscle over time, supports healthy blood pressure, and improves circulation. A 2024 study following over 72,000 people found that those walking between 9 and 10,000 steps daily had a 39% lower risk of dying early and a 21% lower risk of cardiovascular disease. But even walking much less counts. The benefits started from just 2,200 steps a day. Every additional 500 steps reduced cardiovascular risk by about 14%. Can you think of anything else that's just outside your front door that can have this much of a positive impact? Second, blood sugar. When you walk, your muscles use glucose directly from the bloodstream, independently of insulin. That's why walking after meals is particularly good for blood sugar control. Some research shows that 3 short 10-minute walks spread through the day are as effective as one 30-minute walk for glucose management, which is genuinely useful if you can never find a clear half hour, but can sneak out for a quick 10-minute stroll after lunch. Third, bones, muscles, and joints. Low impact doesn't mean ineffective. Walking is weight bearing, which means it stimulates bone density. Now, this is really important for preventing osteoporosis, particularly as we get older. It builds and maintains leg and core strength. And for joint health, including arthritis, gentle, regular movement actually helps rather than harms. The outdated advice to rest arthritic joints has been significantly revised. NICE now recommends physical activity, including walking, as a core part of osteoarthritis management. Fourth, sleep and energy. This one surprises people. Walking more makes you sleep better and feel more energetic, not more tired. Regular movement improves sleep quality, regulates your body clock, and helps reduce the stress hormones that keep you lying awake at midnight, replaying that conversation from 3 years ago. And like sleep's relationship with activity, it compounds. Better sleep means more energy to walk, which means better sleep again. Fifth and finally, your brain. This might be the most interesting one. Research summarized by UCLA Health found that walking around 3,800 steps a day may reduce dementia risk by up to 50% over time. The benefit increases up to about 9,800 steps and then plateaus. You don't need to hit the plateau to benefit. Meaningful protection starts well below that. The mechanisms include better blood flow to the brain, lower rates of the vascular risk factors that drive dementia, and reduced inflammation. Walking also turns out to be genuinely good for thinking. Something about the rhythm of walking seems to free up the mind for creative thought. There's a reason why Aristotle taught while pacing up and down. Now, let's slow down for a moment to discuss the mental health side, because I think this deserves its own space. A 2024 systemic review of randomized controlled trials, the gold standard in research, found that walking is effective in reducing symptoms of both depression and anxiety. The effects are comparable to other forms of moderate exercise and comparable to some evidence-based psychological interventions. The researchers concluded that walking can be adopted as an evidence-based intervention for mental health. Not, oh, it might help a bit. This is evidence-based. Now, part of this is biomechanical. Walking triggers endorphins and serotonin. But part of it, well, it's slightly more subtle. A walk creates a genuine pause in the day. It takes you away from the screen, out of the loop of worried thinking, and puts you in contact with the world. An outdoor walk adds natural light, which supports your body clock and mood independently, as well as the psychological benefits of being outside that researchers have been documenting for years. Even a short walk helps. 10 minutes can genuinely shift how you feel. You don't need to save it for when you have a free hour. The 10-minute version counts. Right, time to get on to the practical questions. How much do you actually need to walk? Now, the best target is more than you currently do, whatever that is. But if you want specific numbers, the UK Chief Medical Officer recommends 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity per week for adults. Brisk walking, the kind where you can still hold a conversation but are breathing noticeably harder. Now that counts as moderate intensity. So that's 30 minutes 5 days a week, or 22 minutes every day, which sounds kind of manageable, doesn't it? For most health outcomes, 7,000 steps is a well-evidenced, realistic target. For dementia specifically, meaningful benefit starts around 3,800 steps. For cardiovascular benefit, it starts around 2,200 steps. The point is that your goal should be your personal improvement above your baseline, not a universal number that may or may not be relevant to where you are. And none of this has to happen in one go. 3 10-minute walks may deliver the same metabolic and cardiovascular benefits as one 30-minute walk. If you're time squeezed, fragmented walking is still effective walking. The science is on your side. Now, the research on walking is only useful if it translates into, well, actual walking. And most of us know that knowing something is good for you and actually doing it are two very different things. So here are 5 things that the evidence on habit formation suggests actually help. Number 1, attach it to something you already do. Walking after lunch, after dinner, during a phone call. The habit that rides on an existing routine is far easier to build than one that requires carving out special time. 2, reduce friction. Keep your shoes by the front door. Have a default route you know you like. Remove as many small decisions as possible. The fewer obstacles between you and the walk, the more likely it is that it will happen. 3, start smaller than you think is worthwhile. If 10 minutes feels embarrassingly short, start with 10 minutes. It isn't embarrassing. It's a completely valid walk with real health benefits. A 5-minute walk done daily beats a 45-minute walk done once in a blue moon when you have a guilty pang. Number 4, make it enjoyable. Walk with someone. Listen to something good. Find a route you actually like. Walking is one of the few forms of exercise that is genuinely compatible with pleasure. It doesn't have to feel like hard work. It doesn't have to feel like medicine. Finally, number 5, don't let perfection be the enemy of good. A week where you walk 3 days out of 7, that's not a failure. It's 3 more walks than 0. Over time, 3 days becomes 4. Then 4 days can become 5. Just start from where you are. One important note before we close. For most people, walking is one of the safest forms of activity to begin, and you generally don't need medical clearance to go for a stroll. But if you do have heart or lung conditions, joint problems, or haven't been active for a long time and are planning to significantly increase your activity, a quick chat with your GP first is always sensible. They can advise on what's appropriate for you and flag anything worth knowing for your personal situation. Now, if walking causes chest pain, significant breathlessness, dizziness, or joint pain that persists, please go and see your doctor. Your body is giving you feedback, and that feedback is worth taking seriously. So, be active is pillar 3 of the new 5 a day. And in some ways, walking is something that really clearly embodies what this whole project is about. Not peak performance. It's not optimization. Not peak performance. Not optimization. It's just doing something good for yourself most days in a way that actually fits with your life. The evidence is as clear as it gets in health science. Walking helps your heart, your blood sugar, your bones, your mood, your sleep, and your brain. It reduces your risk of serious disease and early death. It's free, it is accessible, and it starts working from your very first extra step today. Now, if you want to go deeper, there's a companion post on the website, www.new5aday.com, that covers the evidence in more detail, including the research on the 7,000-step finding and the walking and dementia data. There's also a full citations list if you want to look anything up. Next time, we're moving on to pillar 4, me time, what the science actually says about rest, recovery, and why doing nothing is sometimes the most productive thing you can do. If today's episode was useful, please do like, share and follow. And come and find us at www.new5aday.com. That's the number 5. Now please take care of yourselves and go outside and get a walk.